myself for all this pain. Erase myself and start again. Grab a hold of me and throw me in the deep end. Show me the flame that burns inside of me, and I'll brace myself for all this pain. Erase myself and start again, and I'll face myself with honesty. Erase myself and start again. Yeah, yeah. I can't remain without the refiner. It's time to change what used to define me. Resist the pain. I have to keep fighting. Ignite the flame that's deep down inside me. It hurts at first, but worth all the pain to see myself and not be ashamed. It hurts at first, but worth all the pain to see myself and not be ashamed. And I'll brace myself for all this pain. Erase myself and start again, and I'll face myself with honesty. Erase myself and start again. I toss and turn, and tick by talk the hours burn, pleading for this night to end. A part of me begging to go back to sleep. It sure is easy, but not for me. So here I am with all I have, waking up, facing what's in front of me. I won't back down. I can't stop now. I'm waking up so I can start Facing what's in front of me, I will burn down. I can't stop now. I'm waking up so I can start to dream. So here I am with all I have. I'm waking up. I'm facing what's in front of me. I won't back down. I can't stop now. I'm waking up so I can start to dream. Your smile so deceptive that it almost looks real. Well, it must be hard to fake what you do not really feel. You're hiding, I know it. Tell me what's on your mind. I only wish to help. Won't you let me back inside? Say that it's over. Tell me the truth just one last time. I promise I'll help you. If only you'll let me back inside. Let me inside. Your face shows no reaction when I call out your name. Your presence like a ghost. You seem so far away, and you know that I love you, but the words seem to have died. I just want this to end. Please let me back inside. Say that it's over. Tell me the truth just one.
Well, good evening, folks, or good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Quincy Kane here, and this is live stream number 174. Yes, and for this stream, first off, I have to apologize. I'm getting things off a little bit later. The reason for that, I'm working on a new song, definitely excited to bring you guys a new song, and I need to practice the vocals for it. So I was doing kind of some test vocals, trying it out, and it was going well, but after I did that, then I had to get back to setting up my stream, and I was having some technical difficulties, and so I had to get everything working properly before I could bring a good stream to you all. But now that we're here, what we're going to be doing for this stream, this one is a little different than some of the others. I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of my process. This is kind of a look at what goes into the songwriting process or the song arrangement, the recording process, all that stuff. So I need to bring it up. Just a moment. Here we go. So I'll get this to where you guys can see it. But this is my digital audio workstation, whatever you want to call it. This is the software that I use for recording. And a lot of people comment on how old it looks, and that's because it is an older version. This is a Logic Pro 9. And again, the story is I got this back when I got this right when I got my laptop, and then shortly after this, Logic 10 came out, and Logic 10 is now the standard version that gets the updates, and so I'd already purchased this, and I've got so many templates that it just it would be a real pain to upgrade and stuff, and not that it matters how it looks, but I am starting to get kind of some challenging issues with having out-of-date software. So I have a feeling I'm going to try to survive this year, and then next year I'm probably going to have to update my operating system. But let's catch up with the chat, and then we will dive in to all of this. Becky, so good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in. Silas and Jack said he'd be lurking for a bit. Definitely glad to see all of you. Let me catch up. We were having some good conversation, and the stream's going to get going. We were trying to. I'm sorry that the week's been a bit boring, and I'm hoping I can maybe encourage you to find something fun to do, something to excite you. Again, I don't know what your weekly schedule is. I don't even know, what you do for work and that kind of thing, so I'm not sure what your work schedule is like. But Becky was commenting, just saying, I'd love to get out more, but everything's so expensive now. I guess I could just go to the beach for free. If you enjoy the beach, then I'd say yes, and maybe there's something to do. If you enjoy exploring, you'll have to tell me, what do you enjoy? But I can certainly kind of relate. It's really easy in life to just kind of fall into a routine and kind of almost live the same day on repeat. And that's something that it's just very important to me. This is just sort of a personal value of mine. Like when I think about life, it has so much opportunity for us. And I just know when I'm an old man, like when I'm on my deathbed and I'm looking back, like I don't want to look back and just see that I let a day go to waste. I want to make the most of every day of my life. And so I strive, that's part of the reason why I'm even striving to have a career as a musician. If I was trying to, if I wanted to, just to put it bluntly, if I wanted to do something to make money, like I already give music lessons and I could go full time in that, I could create a passive business in that. And that's something I still plan to do, but I want to do something that I'm passionate about, and I'm willing to take the chance because, what do you really have to lose? It's like you've kind of got one shot at life. Why not go for something worthwhile? Why not take the chance and take the risk? And there's sort of a balance of making preparations, but then taking action and then learning from that action and reassessing your preparations and just kind of continuing that process. So with that said, for me, I certainly make an effort. I don't like to let my life fall into a routine and too much. Some routine is okay because it's good to have structure. It's good to have discipline when you're trying to progress at something. But I definitely try to change it up, especially at my age. I don't see the friends I grew up with. I don't see them as much anymore. And for the most part, I've been content just working on my music. But I'm at a stage in my life where I'd like to get out and start meeting more people around my age, start making some friends, and eventually finding somebody that I might be able to settle down with. That's kind of the long-term goal, but that's going to be a bit of a process. So I know in my life I'm trying to get out a bit more. I'm trying to attend some classes, like fitness classes or things like that people have my age. I'm planning to start attending some local music events, going to some local venues and stuff. Some of the events are free. We have a downtown area in my city that I live outside of the city, so I live like in the countryside. But if I drive into the city, it's not like a big city where you walk around and stuff. But there is a downtown area, and they have something called Friday After Fives, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to attending that. Basically, it's just a free live show that you can show up to, and then while you're down there, you can get some food downtown or something like that. But I'm hoping to just get out a bit more and just kind of meet people. And I love learning things, so there's always something to learn. Again, I think you mentioned maybe having an interest in some guitar or something like that. So I would say, if your weeks are starting to feel just a bit kind of boring, a little bit same old, I would just encourage you, find something, what are you interested in? What do you enjoy? And find something to learn. If there's an instrument you want to learn, look up some YouTube videos and start practicing at that. Start learning all about that and putting some time and effort into that. Maybe there's a physical activity, some kind of sport or hobby that you're interested in. You could get out and start practicing that. I don't think you have to spend money. Life is expensive now, but I don't think you have to spend money just to have some fun. I think there's a lot of things you can learn for free and just kind of do on your own. So I hope that encourages you. I want you to. I'm really glad that you're enjoying these streams. I'm glad you look forward to them. But I do want you to also have. I want every week to be the best week for you. So. But Becky, I appreciate you tuning in. Silas was saying, been writing a lot of music. Yep, that's really cool, Silas. Becky loves rock music. Helps me distract me from the noisy neighbors. Yep. When the neighbors are being noisy, just crank up the rock music. Silas was saying for my band, a lot of our music is rock and roll, punk and hard rock, and some stuff is pretty heavy metal, at least a little. Silas was commenting, awesome stuff, Quincy. Been practicing singing myself lately. Well, awesome. Yep, definitely, that's something I've been working on, just practicing my vocals, and I'm glad that you're practicing yours as well. And I hope you can hear me all right. Again, I'm a little far. You're really supposed to be up close on this mic, but I'm a little further away, so I might turn up the gain just a little bit. Well, that might be too much. So hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. Yeah, and Silas kind of saying, yeah, you can learn a lot from YouTube videos, and there's a fine balance. Like, you can learn a lot from YouTube videos, but at the same time, YouTube's kind of a double-edged sword. You can learn anything on YouTube, but you do want to make sure that you're actually kind of getting out and not just always stuck to the screen all the time. But I've learned so much from YouTube as well. All right, Becky, you've been to every segment so far. This is the last segment that I have. Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you, Silas. That I'm coming through good. All right. Yeah, I've got 4 segments I do. I do a acoustic segment where I kind of do a stripped down version of my songs, and then I do a request where I let people make requests for what song. I do a game night, and then this is the last segment that I do where I share with you guys kind of what goes into the songwriting process. So we've got a project here. This is a song that I'm actually planning to release later this year. So if you guys were at my last process segment, if you guys were here last time, you actually heard some of this. This is a song I'm working on that I believe is going to be called Poison. And the song's not done yet, but last time when we looked at this, all I had was a piano part. If you see this black track here, this black line, that's the piano track. And all I had was just the piano, nothing else. And then during that stream, I sort of showed you guys how I take an idea and turn it into a first draft, how I take the music and then I add the other parts. I add the drums and the bass and the guitars. And I certainly didn't finish it, but we got through it pretty good. So this is going to be an interesting song because it has piano. It's a little bit of a ballad, kind of a softer song. And if you guys have heard my song Love's Not Fair, you might be familiar with how that song starts with an acoustic guitar, and as it gradually progresses, it gradually brings in more instruments and starts to build until it reaches this climax at the bridge. That's where it gets really big, and then the last chorus is very big and powerful. And this song is going to follow kind of a similar structure. It's going to start very small and gradually get bigger. So what we did when we worked on this last time, you can see if I scroll over, you can see all these other tracks, these red ones here, these are the guitars, and the blue one, that's the bass, the green one are the drums. And usually when you're working on a song like this, it helps to start with the biggest moment, start with where all the instruments are together, and then almost work backwards, kind of work how to transition into that. So let's kind of review this song. I'll show you where we're at with it so far, and then we're just going to continue to write a few more parts. We still have some more, some more layers to add, some more guitar parts. There might be some effects that I try out and other things. So we'll kind of see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and play the song for you guys. I'm just going to play it with the piano only. And this would be kind of like the stripped down version. So if it's just the voice and the piano, this is what it would sound like. I'm going to sing with it, but the lyrics aren't done yet. I think I have lyrics for the chorus. That's okay. Becky was saying, sorry, I was getting distracted with a problem with my browser. Well, if you were distracted, you might have to go back. I was trying to give you some advice and some encouragement to hopefully find something fun to do to bring a little more excitement into your weeks. I won't repeat all that. But I was just saying, yeah, I know life can be a bit expensive, but I think there's a lot of things, whatever you're interested in, whatever you're passionate about, there's certainly things that you can do without having to spend money. And I'm glad that you're enjoying the streams, but I definitely want your weeks to be enjoyable as well. But I appreciate you tuning in. I don't know if you heard me explain. Basically, I'm just kind of sharing what goes into the songwriting process. So this is a song that I'm planning to release later this year. I'm going to go ahead and perform it for you. Now, the song's not done. The piano part's done. Like, I have the full arrangement. I think the chorus is done. I think I like the chorus lyrics, but I do not have words for the verses yet. So I'm just going to sing la-da-da-da, la-da-da, just la-di-da. But I'll sing the melody so you can kind of hear what it's like. We'll listen to just the piano first so you kind of get an idea how the song goes. And then I'll show you guys what we added last time. I'll show you where the guitars come in, and you'll get sort of a sense of what the song will build up to and what it will become. So here we go. The current title for this song is Poison. And just so you know, the concept, I think this is going to be a song about, like the reason it's called Poison, it's a song about how we all have to make our own choices. And a lot of times in life, we can't control the circumstances that happen around us, but the one thing we can control are the choices that we make. And for better or worse, we're oftentimes responsible for the choices we make and sometimes bring certain outcomes on ourselves based on those choices. And so it's kind of a song, the idea of poison is sometimes there are people you care about and they're making choices that aren't very good for themselves. They're making choices that are hurtful to them. And it's almost, I want the song to come from sort of a perspective of acknowledging, you know, this person who might be going through some hurt or some heartache or whatever it might be, but sort of pointing out how they're sort of bringing a lot of unnecessary hurt on themselves just because of the choices that they're making. And it's kind of just facing the reality, like, yes, life's going to be tough, but sometimes we bring things on ourselves just because of the choices that we make. So I'll go ahead and play it for you. This is the demo version of Poison.
La da da la la da da, la da 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 dum, la da 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 dum, la 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 da dum, la la da 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 dum, la la da 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 dum, la la da 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 dum. La la da 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 da. We all make choices, and yours are poison. How you're slowly killing off yourself and infecting everybody else. We all make choices.
Here it'll start to build.
La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da da dum dum. La da 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 da. La da da dum dum. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. We all make choices, and yours are poison. How you're slowly killing off yourself and infecting everybody else. And
Had a little glitch. That happens sometimes. So this is where it'll start to get big, and then we get into the bridge. This is probably the climax of the song.
And somewhere in the distance, there's an ocean full of promise. If you wanna make a difference, then it's time to sink or swim. We all make choices, and yours are poison. How you're slowly killing off yourself and infecting everybody else. We all make choices. We all make choices. We all make choices. Don't drink the poison.
All right, so there we go. So that's just the piano part. And the way I'm singing, those notes, right now I'm going into my falsetto. That's that soft kind of fluty, kind of fluty voice. But when I sing it, I'm probably going to be belting it, so it's going to be a bit more powerful and intense. Now, that's what we started with. And then last time I did this segment, I added some other instruments. So I added some drums and some bass and then some guitar. So here's that chorus again with the drums and bass.
We all make choices, and yours are poison. How you're slowly killing off yourself.
And then we're getting into the bridge. Here's where some heavy guitars come in.
And somewhere in the distance, there's an ocean full of promise. If you wanna make a difference, then it's time to sink or swim. We all make choices, and yours are poison. How you're slowly killing off yourself and infecting everybody else. We all make choices. We all make choices. We all make choices. Don't drink the poison.
So that's kind of a little taste of what it'll sound like. That's what the song is building up to. It's going to start just piano and then kind of gradually build to that intense bridge. And then the bridge, I want it to come off as very, just a sense of desperation and just, that's where you really pour it all out. So cool. I'm going to catch up with the chat, and then we'll continue doing a little bit of writing and see what we come up with. And for any, just so you all know, feel free to, if you have any questions about the song or about the songwriting process or recording process, if you're curious about anything, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. But catching up real quick. Silas was saying, or Becky was saying, what if you've got no rhythm? I can't even spell rhythm. Is it something that can be learned? Yeah, I think rhythm can be learned. I don't, some people might naturally have an instinct for it, but yes, rhythm can be learned. It might take a little bit of practice to get the coordination, but rhythm can be learned. And I'm certain if you look up videos about how to improve your rhythm, how to learn rhythm, it might take a little bit of practice. Again, some people kind of seem to have a natural good instinct for it. But I think maybe you've heard this before, but hard work surpasses talent. There are some people that are always going to be naturally gifted in an area, but if you're willing to put forth the effort, you can get just as good. You can even surpass someone who's naturally gifted, assuming that person isn't putting effort into it. The best combination is obviously someone who's naturally gifted and is putting in the work to improve that gift. But just because you don't naturally have a talent doesn't mean that you can't acquire it. Especially if you have the desire to do that, then absolutely you can put in the work and learn how to do it. Oh, whoops. You know what? I always forget. I always have top chat. I need to switch to live chat because I think that shows, I think it puts your comments in order better. Silas was asking, do you get copyright if you do 10-minute song challenge? And then Becky was asking, what's the 10-minute song challenge? It was a segment I used to do. I don't do it anymore. To be honest, I never really enjoyed it that much. It was one I tried out for a while, but basically I would let people come and request what song, and I'd set a timer for 10 minutes and try to learn it in 10 minutes. Some songs were easy, some were ridiculously hard, but we tried it out. And yes, I think I did get you would get copyrights for that, copyright claims or strikes, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if they're actually strikes, but because you're playing other people's music. And I did it for a while, but it's not really a segment that I did enjoy. I like the segments I have now a lot better than what I used to have. But when I was first getting started, I was trying to figure out how to bring some variety to these streams so it wasn't always just the same thing. Yeah, Becky was saying, okay, I've only been here for one acoustic session, one game night, last week's song request. Yeah, I do 4 segments, and this is the 4th one. So next week will be another acoustic session. The acoustic was the first one you came to, and then you came to a game night, and then the song request, and then my process. This is a segment I do where I kind of share kind of the makings of, like, what goes into making music. And I love sharing the process with you guys, because my favorite thing is just hearing songs come to life. I love when you have just a simple idea, and then as you add the other instruments and hearing it come to life and what it can be. That's what I love so much about making music. Yeah, let's see here. Becky's saying it sounded, that sounds really fun. I guess people enjoyed it, but it never really was a favorite segment of mine. Sorry if you missed out. Maybe it would have been fun. Maybe if people were requesting songs that I enjoyed learning more, maybe that would have been fun. But it was usually all over the place. So let's see here. We got Jack back. Adding the guitar and especially the drums really brings the tone of the music. Yeah, that's kind of what I think is so interesting. Like, when I'm writing a song, I can play it on piano, and in my mind, I can sort of imagine what it can be, but nobody else can hear that yet. So when you start adding those other parts, one, it's always satisfying to me to sort of hear my imagination coming into existence. And then two, it's nice to show to other people, like, whoa, that's really different than just the piano itself. And so that's kind of what I really like about it. Becky asking, Quincy, did you have to practice a lot to get good, or was it more natural to you? It was a little bit of both, because I did grow up in a musical family. The first instrument I learned was piano. And when I first learned piano, it was kind of just something that my parents signed me up for. It wasn't like I really wanted to learn piano, but it wasn't like I was resistant to it either. It was just, my dad was like, hey, we're going to start giving you piano lessons. And I was like, okay. And I kind of just did it and didn't really think much of it. And I played for a while, and it wasn't till I started getting into skateboarding that I discovered rock music and punk music. And that's when I started, that's when I really got interested in, like, that was the first time I really started getting interested in a style of music, and then interested in learning guitar. Like, guitar I wanted to learn. And from there, I started getting into songwriting. I just enjoyed coming up with my own ideas. And so for music, it never really felt like work, because I just kind of did it for fun, Like, I just picked up the guitar because I enjoyed it. And yes, it took practice, but I never thought, like, I need to practice for 30 minutes a day or something like that. It was just, I was just always looked forward to being creative and just kind of making up something on the guitar and playing or learning songs. So, and probably being in a musical family, just being around music, listening to music all the time, I think I just kind of naturally had a good sense of timing, and I had a good ear for music, so that definitely helped. Now, what I will say, I wasn't a naturally good singer. I could hear pitch, like I could sing on key and stuff, but I just didn't have very good control. And that's something I've had to work very hard on. Like, even a lot of my siblings, like, they sing really good. My sister and my brother, I honestly think, if they put in the practice, I think they could be like contenders for, like, American Idol or The Voice or something like that. I think they have, like, really good singing voices. But me, it wasn't like that. Me, it's like no matter how hard I tried to sing, it just never, my voice never reflected the emotion I was trying to express. It always came out as weak or shaky or unstable. It just had no power behind it, or it wasn't a very pleasing tone, or I was straining for notes. It just, I was always struggling. And so my voice is something I've had to work very hard on. And I'm still not like, I don't know if I'll ever be a good enough singer to be like a contender on The Voice. Not that I'm worried about that. I've always just wanted to be able to sing good enough just to express myself, just to express myself through my music. But, so I can say, objectively speaking, I've come a long way with my voice. I've worked really hard, and I'm a much better singer today than I was 10 or 15 years ago. So that's an example of something I wasn't naturally gifted at, but I put in the practice, I learned, I took time, I made progress, and little by little, I've gotten better and better at it. So absolutely, if there's something you want to do, don't be afraid. Just do it for you. Just do it. Just enjoy it, and in time, you'll get better at it. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Becky, I think commenting on the 10-minute challenge. Definitely don't do it again then. Too risky. Yeah, some of the copyright claims, because you're playing other people's music and that kind of thing. Jack was saying, it seemed pretty rough for Quincy. He had 10 minutes to learn songs that sometimes were themselves longer. Yeah, people would sometimes request songs that were longer than 10 minutes. And the idea was, like, I do have a pretty good ear for music, so, like, I can hear a few notes and I can find them pretty quickly. So, you know, there was, like, some fun to it, but ultimately it just wasn't a segment that I really enjoyed that much. You know, I tried it for a bit, but I like the current segments I have a lot better. I enjoy them a lot more. Becky was saying, when I was a kid, I borrowed my brother's guitar to try and teach myself to play. I destroyed my fingers. They were all bleeding. Really put me off. I will say, you are going to develop calluses on your fingers. Now, if your fingers were bleeding, maybe you were overplaying a bit too much. Maybe you were going a little too hard. But it is normal that when you're first playing, it's going to require some finger strength, some finger coordination, and it's going to be a little tough on your fingertips. So you kind of play for a bit, and the next day your fingers might be sore, but you give them a day to heal, and then you try again. And over time, you kind of develop some calluses on your hands, and so it doesn't hurt as much to play, and you develop that finger strength and coordination. So before where it might be really hard to hold a chord, eventually you can do it without much thought or much effort. So yeah, Freebird is a good one. That's probably one they requested. Hey, that's okay. I wouldn't say you were a little idiot. You were probably just young, and you were passionate. You were eager to learn, and then maybe that put you off a little bit. And sorry that put you off. But now you're a little older. Now you're a little wiser. And so if you want to learn again, just give yourself another shot, you know. And now you can say, okay, I know I can hurt myself if I go too hard, so let's just do enough. And then when it starts to hurt, we'll take a little break, let my hand recover, and then we'll go back into it, you know. That's part of the learning process. A big part of learning is just failing, you know, trying something. And if it doesn't quite work out, then you try again from a different approach. You sort of reassess a better way to approach it. But rather than just trying something and be like, that didn't work, I guess it's not for me. There's a lot more ways you can try something before coming to that conclusion. All right, let's have a look at this song here. So a couple things I wanted to share with you. So we've got the guitars in here. I actually have this idea for some strings. Now, I talked about this last time, but in case you don't remember, so this is kind of the big section where it builds up. This is like the climax of the song. Okay? And I sort of imagine in my mind, I can hear these strings, like these orchestral violin, cello strings. And I hear two. I hear one kind of doing this like kind of long note. You'd call it a legato, like holding out this note and kind of matching the vocals a little bit. So it would go. So if you can imagine this like orchestra, these strings kind of doing that. And I was like, you know, that'd be kind of cool. And then I also imagine these very short, very punchy strings. You would call this staccato for short, doing this kind of dun 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 kind of dun 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 dun. So that's a really cool idea. But the question is, I don't have an orchestra, so how do you do that? Well, that's kind of the cool thing about music these days is programs like what I'm using, they give you access to instruments that you don't have. Even the drums here, you know, this isn't a real drum kit. These are programmed drums. I was able to, like if I click on them, I can bring up this little chart here. Give me just a second. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see that. And see all these little squares? Those are all drum beats. If I click on one, I think this is a cymbal. Whoop, hopefully you can, let me get where you can hear it. Yeah, there we go. There's a cymbal. And then here's, what is that, a china? That's a hi-hat. And then a kick. There we go. And a snare. So, and you just select them, you put them on the grid, and you can build this beat. And that's how I make my drum beats. That's going to happen sometime. So yes, I can play drums. You know, I write parts that I can really play, but I'm not actually playing the drums for these songs. I'm just programming them on the computer. Same thing with the bass. I can play bass, but it's actually a lot faster and a lot more practical just to program the bass. So I'm doing the same thing here. These notes, now they sound like a bass. You know, so rather than sounding like a drum set, I can make them sound like a bass, and I can choose them to play the bass part. So that's the cool thing about these are known as virtual instruments. That's the cool thing is, as long as you understand music, like you understand notes and you understand timing and rhythm and how to build chords or melodies and things like that, then you can use virtual instruments and you can use any sounds you want to write parts. So I might not have access to a real orchestra, but I have access to orchestral sounds. I can find a violin on here or a string section or a cello, and I can program in these string parts that I hear in my head. Now, there's one little problem, and I'm trying to get this worked out. I'm not going to bore you with it. It's kind of a technical thing, but basically, I used to have a lot of different string sounds. There's all these different virtual instruments on the program here, and I used to have more options, more violin options and orchestral options. But I can't remember. There was an update or something, and I lost some of them. I was able to download some of them back. And now, again, with my operating system being out of date, I think there are certain sounds that I no longer have access to. So part of me was like, man, I'd really like to add that, but I don't think I have the ability to. But I was playing with it the other day. I kind of just, this is sort of a proof of concept, but here's kind of an idea. I found these strings. Now, the funny thing is they're called hip-hop strings, but one thing I've learned about virtual instruments, don't worry about the name. Just pick something that sounds good and go with it. So these are obviously meant to be used like in some kind of hip-hop track, but you know, they sound fine. And I think with a little bit of tweaking, they can work. They're not going to sound super realistic off the bat. They need a little bit of tweaking, but they'll work. So here's kind of one example of what the strings might do in the song. Why is that? Oh, you know what? That's, one second. Let me get that where it's coming through. I think I know why you guys can't hear that. Why isn't that coming through? Oh, yeah, I got to send it to the bus. Just a second. One more thing. Yeah, sorry, there's some routing stuff. So I did this the other day. And again, this is more of a proof of concept. So this is not the final sound. So they don't sound super realistic, but I think with some tweaking, I can make that work. And I think with some layering, like right now, it kind of sounds like a single string, maybe in a very reverby room. But if I add some layers, maybe I can blend them together and make it sound like more of a full orchestra. So here's kind of what that would sound like in context with the song. And I'd like it to have more of a bend. I have to learn how to do that. So rather than being so rigid, like da na 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 na, I'd like it to kind of glide or slide into the da na da na da na, like slide down to that note. So I got to figure out how to do that. I'm certain there's a way to make that happen. And then I was worried I wasn't going to have these staccato notes, because usually you need a certain sound for that. But let me show you, again, if you look at the grid, the strings I just played, I have these long notes. And let me get where you can hear it again. I have these long notes. Sorry. There we go. But if you take those notes and you shorten them, see these little squares, you get kind of a punchy, more of that punchy sound. So I can get more of that staccato. That kind of sound. And it's not perfect, but you can kind of get an idea of what that'll sound like, what it'll sound like in the track. So I think that can add like some intensity to the track. So it's a proof of concept. I think if I play around with it, I can get something cool. But again, I haven't messed with orchestral sounds in quite some time. So that's going to be a bit of a learning curve for me to to get that working properly and getting that sounding good. Hey, I think we got Stan in the chat. Stan, appreciate you tuning in. Sorry I'm late. My dad had me on the phone. Hey, no worries. It's always good to talk with Dad. And we kind of got started later anyway, so we're not all that far into this. Let's see here. Becky was asking, it's so complex. Do you get overwhelmed doing everything yourself? I think the key is, if it seems like a lot, it's because I didn't learn this all at once. It's all a little over time. Even for myself as a musician, the first instrument I learned was piano, and that actually proved to be very helpful. Even a lot of the stuff I'm doing here with the virtual instruments, basically my knowledge of piano helps me make those parts. It's almost like writing the part on a piano, but instead of sounding like a piano, it sounds like whatever instrument I want it to sound like. So piano was helpful. Piano also helped with learning guitar, because when I learned the instrument, I understood there were certain ways it related. I understood notes and chords because of my background in piano. So it was kind of easier to transition to guitar. And the thing about music is, once you learn one instrument, it's always easier to learn the next instrument, because a lot of things are going to carry over. For example, if you learn guitar, you almost learn bass for free. Guitar and bass are very similar. They play different roles, but they both follow a similar tuning. They both, if you know the notes on a guitar, then you know the notes on a bass. And bass is almost easier because you don't have to play chords. You just have to play a single note most of the time. You can play chords on a bass. And again, really the only thing you have to learn, like if you already play guitar, the only thing you have to really learn on bass, you don't really need to learn how to play bass, you just need to learn the role of bass. You need to understand how it's similar to guitar and how it's different, because a lot of times the bass is going to match the drum rhythm, matching the kick and snare pattern. So that's a little easier. And then when you move on to drums, drums are kind of nice because you don't need to know about notes or chords or anything like that. You just need rhythm. And the cool thing about drums can look intimidating if you see someone with a big drum kit, but really the rhythm just comes from your body. So really the drums, what creates the beat is your right hand, your left hand, your right foot, and your left foot. And that's it. So it doesn't matter how big or small your drum kit is, the rhythm just comes from your four limbs. And if you learn how to create rhythm, so if I can, I got a chair here, one second, but if I can play a drum beat on my lap, like, if I can do it on my lap, then I can do it on a drum kit, and just depending on what I hit on the drum kit, I'll get a different sound. So drums really aren't that tricky once you take time to do it. And when I learned drums, I never had lessons for that. I just enjoyed it. I loved songwriting, so I kind of learned guitar just from playing, just from writing my own songs. And little by little, I would learn new techniques from other guitarists, and just kind of learn new techniques, and then that just became more tools to use for songwriting. And then for drums, I remember me and my friends, we got on there. We had a drum kit at our church, and it had double pedal, kind of like you hear in metal a lot. You know how in metal you hear that really, that really intense, like double bass kick drum pattern. And the kit at our church had a double pedal on it. And so our friends were like, hey, let's try it, see if we can do it. So they were trying it, and of course, no one could do it. But I got on there, and I at least knew how to keep like a basic beat, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And so I thought, well, maybe if I just go as fast as I can, and then if I can find like the timing and just sort of do 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe it'll come out. And I tried that, and it sounded pretty good. My friends were like, hey, that was actually pretty good. And that was enough for me to sort of have the confidence, like, hey, if I actually practiced, I could probably play drums. And that's what I did. I just set out to kind of learn. And but it never felt like a discipline to me. All the instruments that I learned, it never really felt like a discipline. It always felt like just something I wanted to do. And recording's my favorite part. Like recording, again, it takes a little bit of learning how to record guitars and how to program drums. But my motivation was always just songwriting. So once you learn it, it just becomes a play box, it just becomes a playground, sandbox, whatever you want to call it, just all these different opportunities to be creative. Here's where the downside came. The downside came when I started comparing my recordings to professional recordings. I started comparing them, and that's when reality slaps you in the face. Like, wow, my stuff sounds really amateur. You know, my song doesn't sound nearly as punchy or exciting as these professional songs. How do they do that? And that's when you begin the journey of learning about mixing and song production. That's slightly different. That's not quite as creative. That's almost more of a, I don't want to say it's a science, but there's definitely like a technique, understanding what makes a good sound and understanding how to blend sounds, what kind of sounds complement each other, and how to create good tones. That was a bit of a frustrating process for me. That was hard to learn. And so yes, that stuff was kind of complicated, but over time, you kind of just learn little bits here and there. And again, when you're starting from a beginning point of view, looking at someone like me, all this might seem overwhelming, but when you're just starting off, you don't need to worry about this. Just kind of focus on one thing. Just, you know, right now, maybe it's just guitar. Just focus on picking up the guitar and just learning songs that you enjoy playing, or learn how to play a power chord. That'll be my tip. That's what I learned. The first thing I learned was what's called a power chord. And what's cool about it is just one shape. Heck, I'll teach it to you now. You do need to learn how to tune your guitar. So that'd probably be the only like technical thing. You would want a tuner for your guitar, and you want to know how to tune it properly. But basically, once your guitar is in tune, a power chord, all it is, you just take your pointer finger and you put it on the low string and you put it on any fret. I'm going to put it on the 5th fret here. And you're pushing back against the neck. And then your ring finger is going to go on the next string up 2 frets, so right there on the 7th fret. So my pointer finger's on the 5. The frets are these different spots here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 5th fret. My pointer finger is going to go right there. And then on the next string, my ring finger is going to go right here. And that was it. And then all you do, you just kind of rest your fingers on the other strings so that it mutes them, so they don't make a lot of noise. If you have your fingers up, then it's going to make a lot of noise. So you let your other fingers kind of rest. You let your pointer finger rest on those other strings. It mutes them. And then you should just get sound from these first 2 strings. And what's cool about this shape, once you've got this shape, you can play it anywhere. And you can play it on the next, just move them down to the next string. And then if you go down again, you can play it right there with the open string. That's all I started with. My cousin taught me that, and I was able to write songs, you know. You know, I just made that up right now, you know. You can just move around. You could go. And I would just experiment with different patterns, like. And just kind of take note to how it sounded. You can try different rhythms. Or and you just kind of play with that. Just from that one technique, you can start writing songs, and that's what I did. One of the first songs I wrote was this. Now, I don't know if I played it that good back when I wrote it, but yeah, I just kind of took a few chords and just sort of followed my ear and just went to. You're looking for those combinations that make you go, ooh, I kind of like the way that sounded. You're trying to find the stuff that kind of sticks out to you and sounds nice. But just from that one chord, if you learn that, you can just start experimenting and just making up your own songs. And that's kind of how I got started. And then over time, I would meet other guitarists and they would teach me new techniques. And that just became more things to play with. It's like, oh, now that I know this other technique, let me see if I can write a song with it. And that was kind of how I approached it. So yeah, it's like, that's kind of a lesson in general. It's like, it's really easy. You know, when you look at someone who's further along, if you're trying to learn something and you look at someone that's further along, it's not really a fair comparison. You know, you shouldn't if you're at the beginning of a journey, you shouldn't compare yourself to someone who's been on the journey for 10 years or longer. It's like, that's not a fair comparison. It's the same thing with like fitness, where, let's see here. It's the same thing with fitness. When you're trying to get in shape and you're like just starting to work out, and then you're looking at some guy who's been working out for like 10 years and he's like super ripped, and it's like, man, what the heck? It's like, I'm working out, but I don't look like that. And it's like, well, of course you don't look like that. You haven't been doing it as long as that person. So just remember that. I say that as an encouragement. Whenever you're trying to learn something, just enjoy the process. Don't be so fixated on the outcome or so fixated on the finish line that you don't enjoy it. And I think that's what messes up a lot of people. I think they look at the outcome and they kind of think, once I get there, I'll be happy. Like, I'll enjoy music once I can play like that, or once I can write songs like that, or once I can sing like that, then I'll have fun doing it. And it's like, no, have fun now. Just take what you know now and enjoy it. And if you enjoy the process, then you'll enjoy what the process produces. What's the point of it? Even me, I have to remind myself that when I'm making songs, it's like, there's a part of me that knows, like, when I've constantly been trying to make my songs sound more and more professional, and sometimes I get close, but sometimes it can rob the joy, like just kind of rob. I'm so focused on making it sound professional that sometimes you don't even enjoy the process of making a song. And it's like, what am I even doing this for if I'm not enjoying it? So sometimes I have to remind myself, like, just enjoy it, just have fun, and trust that if I keep doing it and if I keep striving to get better, that in time I'll get better. And that goes for each of you too. If you just enjoy it and you just keep striving to get better, then you can trust the process, and in time, you will get better. So I hope that helps. All right, let's see here. I hope y'all have enjoyed the conversation so far. I've been meaning to actually do some writing here. I haven't really done anything yet. I've been enjoying talking to you also. I hope you've enjoyed it as well, but hoping to get to messing with this track a little bit. Let's see here. Yeah, Becky was saying, drums are the scariest instrument to me. Imagine getting the timing wrong and ruining the entire song. It is true that you have a big responsibility as a drummer, but it depends on the style of music. Sometimes, depending on the style of music, drums can actually be really easy. Like if I had to play a song I've never played before, like if some band was like, hey, we're missing, we need you to help us play this song, and I've never played it before, I'd probably pick drums. Because drums, you can at least hear the rhythm and then kind of come up with a beat that should work. But if you don't know the chords, if you don't know the order of the song, if you don't know what notes you're supposed to playing, it's a little harder. So drums might look intimidating, but I don't think they're as hard as people think they are. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some amazing drummers out there, and the stuff they're doing, yeah, that's hard. But I think like just learning some basic beats just to be able to play with music, drums aren't that challenging. Let's see, some good conversation happening in the chat. Jack saying, by the way, Quincy, sorry, I've only been lingering. Just got home. How you doing? I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. Also, Jack, I think you said you had pulled your calf or something. I hope your calf is feeling better. And yeah, you'll have to let me know how your week has been. If you've seen any good movies or anything like that. What's your favorite out of the 3 original songs I have on my channel, Quincy? To be honest, I'd have to listen to them again to distinguish. There was one that I was like, hey, like it stuck out to me. Like I really liked it. I'm sorry, I can't remember the title right now. But I'll have to check them. And once you start making them and finishing them, I think you'll get going. You can probably read my comments, and if there's one that I commented and I sounded a little extra enthusiastic, that was probably the one that I really liked. But I just say, hey, just keep writing. Becky saying, I lost the tip of my ring finger in an accident when I was little. I'll always have an excuse. Was it your left ring finger, the one you're using for guitar playing? It might not be that big of an issue. You might still be able to play even with a case. But, if you want to use that, and you could try to avoid using the ring finger, you could use your pinky instead. You could do your pointer finger and your pinky to play that. So no excuses. Let's see here. I'm going to kind of skim through a little bit because I'm going to get back to messing with some of the music. Becky was saying that's okay. I don't have much interesting to say. No, I've enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed the questions you've asked. I just want to make sure you're enjoying it as well. So let's see here. And thank you, Jack, saying always enjoy the conversation, Quincy. It might be Peace of Knowing You. Again, I'd have to check them again, because even if you say the title, I'm going to recognize it more from listening to it than the title itself. Left one, yep. Well, man, that's a shame. That's a shame that worked. But if you've got enough on there, you might still be able to make it work. All right, we're going to play around with this. So I know I want to write some more guitar parts, but that was one idea. So let's do this. I know I want a little bit of guitar in the second chorus. So here's where the song's kind of starting to build up a little bit. And it actually sounds kind of cool, just the piano, drums and bass. But I feel like this part is a bit sudden when the guitars kick in. Right here. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, it's cool how punchy it is, but I think I want that to transition a little bit smoother. So let me grab my guitar. I'm going to play around with a few ideas. So when I originally imagined this, all right, hopefully you all can still hear me. Might turn the gain up just a touch more. All right. When I first kind of imagined this, I don't know if this is what I'm going to do, but this first chorus, I almost imagine like feedback. Let me get the timing right. And I got to get my guitar tuned. Let me tune first. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to do this, but maybe something like this kind of intense, like, and just kind of come in, you know? It's going to sound sudden here, but... helps if I play the right chord. And, man, I hope I am tuned, because I forgot to grab a tuner. So, right now it's going to sound suddenly, but again, that's kind of the idea of... that's what I need to write. I need to find ways to transition into it so it doesn't just come out of nowhere like, what was that? But it's almost like building anticipation. Like, you can tell, oh, this is building up. This is, yeah, this is, sorry, I'm looking for the tuner on here. It's like this is building up to something. Hopefully it's tuned enough, because that tuner doesn't work very good. It's like super sensitive. to get a new tuner. Actually, we'll just deal with close enough for now. All right, so I'm going to do chords. So it could be that, or it might do like a... kind of like that. Let's try that real quick. That's kind of cool. So almost, it needs a little tweaking. So I like the first part, the... Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. All right, let's give that a shot. Do one more. So this is called double tracking. So what that means is I'll record the guitar part once and I'll pan it to one side and then I'll do it again and I'll pan it to the... So if you're wearing headphones, you'll hear it. I'll pan it one guitar to the right side and then one to the left side. So I'm going to do another recording of that same part. Gonna chop off some bits. And it kicks in right here. All right, let's listen to what that sounds like. The distorted tone might be a little much. Let me try it on these lead guitars, see what this sounds like. kind of cool. Now, one concern I have, sometimes you can write something, you know, really intricate like that, but we always want to make sure it's supporting the melody. Now, one thing that I do is I'll have a vocal track. I'll have a melody track in here. So what I've got this electric piano, and it is representing the vocal melody. So if I play the electric piano, it'll sound like this. So that's the part that the vocals are going to sing. Poison, how you're slowly killing of yourself. And the reason that's helpful is because whenever we're writing parts, we want to make sure that it fits with the melody. If you write too many, like if you make it too notey, you've got too much going on, it can start to get kind of messy and sort of hard to follow the melody. So here's what's interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I listen to that, I think the guitars are doing too much. I think while the singing's happening, it's too much, but there's these little breaks in between the voice. We all make choices. And, you know, there's that space between the phrasing, and that's where it sounds good to kind of do something. So the first part of the guitar, when I was playing the... that might be a little much. That sounded like it was kind of clashing with the vocal. So now I could maybe go. I think that would work because that's going to match the melody. We all make choices. So if I kind of make it match a little bit, so. And yours are point. That would technically still harmonize. But I'm wondering if I'm going to like that. So I might, we'll try it and see what it sounds like. I'm also thinking it might be just a little too distorted. I might try to go for more of like a, kind of a crunchy tone, maybe. Let's give that a shot, see what that sounds like. This is the process, you know, you just kind of, you try something and then you listen and you say, okay, that didn't work, but that part did. Let me tweak this and this, and then you try it again and we see what it sounds like. So let's give it a shot. It's definitely quieter. Hopefully once we have the second one in there, it'll be a little bit louder. So let's try that again. Let's see what that sounds like. worried about those guitars being too quiet. They actually sound a little too loud. I'm not really sure why they're too loud. Let me try this one real quick. Yeah, my only concern, I'm just hoping that's not going to clash with the melody. Let me hear just the melody, piano, and that guitar part. Let's see what that sounds like. Because we always want to make sure everything's working together. We want to make sure nothing's competing against each other or fighting against another part. So it's not too bad. I don't think my guitar is perfectly tuned, so it might sound better if it was tuned properly. Let me catch up with the chat real quick, and then we'll play around with this a little bit longer. Yeah, Becky telling the story of the ring finger. I stupidly grabbed hold of the door frame when the neighbor slammed her door. Sheesh. Ouch. Yeah, probably made that sound worse than it was. It was just the tip. No, but I bet that doesn't feel good. There's a lot of sensitive nerve endings on the tip of your finger, so yeah, that's unfortunate. And then Jack, yeah, sorry about the anniversary coming up. You know, you certainly have my thoughts and prayers with you. Silas was asking, what tuning am I in? Did I go back to? Yeah, I'm in drop C tuning. But I didn't bring a tuner, so it's probably not perfect drop C tuning. It's probably a little rough. Let's see here. Yeah, that's not a bad suggestion. Yeah, just kind of get with some family and rewatch some of his favorite movies or something to remember. So, and thank you, Becky. I'm glad you're liking the song so far. Yeah, it's coming along. Silas was saying Back to the Future. Hold on, fellas. I'm afraid you're just too darn loud. Yeah, that's right. Yep. When they're auditioning their band, you're just too darn loud. All right.
Make choices, and yours are poison. Now you're slowly killing up yourself and infecting everybody else. And somewhere in the distance there's emotion.
So I like how there's guitars there, and they're kind of softer at first, and then they get heavier as it goes on. So I'll hold on to that idea. I don't know if that's exactly what I'm going to do. I might go kind of heavy to begin with, but I don't know. It's kind of got a cool sort of chill vibe to it. Now, we want to build up into that because it sort of happens suddenly. You can hear there's nothing happening before, and then all of a sudden it kicks in. And that's kind of cool, but I think, right now we've got nothing happening at the beginning of our arrangement, so we want to sort of build some anticipation for that to happen. Let me listen to the second verse. One thing I actually thought, I've got this drum room thing. It might be cool for like the drums to kick in, but like this sort of kind of like distant drum sound. Let's roll with that for now. I might tweak that drum beat. I can kind of hear two things, something like that, or maybe some kind of tom beat. Let's see. So give me just a second here. Just making another track. Again, this is all just like playing, just brainstorming, creativity, that kind of thing. we're just playing with different ideas and just seeing. We're always looking for those things that make you go, ooh, I kind of like the way that sounded. So we could have the first chorus, be kind of soft, and then verse 2. Well, that's the chorus, so we got a little further to go. Didn't mean to mute that. Kind of leads into that a little bit nicer. Sorry, I was fixing the other stuff because I've got this echoey drums kind of going through. I think I might have it come back at the ending. I don't know if I want the ending just to be the piano and just the other instruments ringing out, or if I want this drum beat to come back. Something like that. Thank you, Silas, saying loving it. I heard you say you thought the track sounds loud. That was the guitars I was talking about. When I first recorded the new guitar parts, for some reason they sounded a little too loud. But I'm not really messing with volume right now. Basically, they were in this track. This is a different guitar tone. So if I was playing this, you'll hear that it's kind of loud. And then listen when it goes into the full chord. Like, it's not a very dramatic difference. And so just the quick fix, like right now I don't have time. What you can do is you can automate. Automate means like I could turn them down and then have the fader automated to turn back up when the heavier guitars come in. But right now I'm just moving it to a different guitar track that's already quieter. So now if we listen to that, the guitars are a little more appropriate. They're not quite so loud. And here it gets louder when it goes to the chords. Like, hear that impact, hear how much punchier. That's the thing. Like, when you want something to hit hard, in order for something to sound loud, you need to compare it to something quiet. So you have these quiet guitars first. And then when those big guitars come in, it has a lot more impact because you have the comparison, you have the contrast of the quiet guitars before. Okay, so kind of what I'm thinking, yeah, we could do like that kind of almost lo-fi beat thing. I kind of like that. It almost has this kind of mechanical feel that's sort of cool. Another thing we could do, I'm actually going to make one more drum room. Here's another idea I have, is to make some kind of tom beat. So I'll kind of show you guys. You might not be able to see this. Let me get it where you can see it. I'll show you how I program drums. Just a second. I just got to bring it up where you guys can see it. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah. There we go. So what you're seeing right here, this is the drum machine, I guess you could call it that. So basically all these dots, you just select, it's a grid that's on a beat, and you just select where on the grid you want different parts of the drum kit to play, and you can get a beat out of that. So we're going to try to make this kind of tom beat. Oops. Sorry, trying to delete all the notes that were already there. Let me make sure. Yeah, there's some kicks in there. All right. Let's see. So I think we want to do some kind of. So maybe like a. Yeah, I think the kick's only going to happen once at the beginning. And let's grab a low tom. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, bum bum, and then we'll do kind of a mid. Dun dun bum bum. Bum dum dum. Let me see if that works. I don't know if that came out right. All right, now that sounds kind of intense right now. I want it to be softer than that, you know. Now it might be soft enough just from adding it to that room track. So that just sounds like a regular drum kit, but we're going to add it to this room track, and it's going to kind of give it that echoey sort of feel, like it's almost in the distance a little bit. Let's see what this sounds like. Not quite the vibe I'm going for. It's a little smacky. I was hoping for it to be a little more kind of like deeper sounding. I'm going to keep that in mind, but for the sake of this stream, we'll roll with this beat. This one kind of works. It's kind of has a cool vibe to it. Thank you, Jack. Yeah, Jack's saying, I'm always in awe of how hard you work on your music. Well, like I said, it's like, it's not really hard work when you enjoy it. You know, it's like, yeah, a lot goes into it, but I also like doing it. You know, like this is my favorite part, is just kind of experimenting and trying things. And you never know. Like you always kind of come up with something that works, and then you try a few other things, and maybe you find something better. And if not, you just go back to the first thing that kind of worked. So I like this drum beat coming in. Maybe we could get some clean guitars in there. Maybe like a... Yeah, like a... See what that would sound like. One other thing we want to do, so that's kind of cool, but we need to get some, we need to get that melody in there. We won't worry about it for now, but let's kind of see what, let's see. so. We'll try that. We'll see what that sounds like. A little sloppy. I messed up, but the nice thing when you're writing, you can copy and paste. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to listen to this guitar track. So far, so good. That's where I messed up. Now that part is the same as the first part. So we can actually just gonna grab, so I'm cutting the track and I'm grabbing from the first part. I made a copy of it and now I'm just gonna paste it here and then hopefully it'll blend. All right, that was good. Only problem was I stopped and started again, so you can hear that sudden stop right there. But we might just be able to paste that twice. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay. Again, this is just a demo. So right now, it's all about getting the ideas out. Kind of same thing there, kind of messed up a little on that last one. So that one sounded good. Let's grab that one and we'll do the same thing. We'll copy that and we'll paste that in place of the one that I messed up on. Okay, that's where I messed up, so we're going to cut that out. I'm going to delete that and replace it, and let's see if that works. Good enough for a demo. So yeah, you know, this isn't the final recording. Like in the writing stage, it's all about just being creative. It's all about just experimenting and getting your idea out. And then once you kind of have an idea what you want to do, then when you go into the actual production phase, that's when you re-record them and you do it properly. You change your guitar strings and you make sure you get you make sure your guitar is properly in tune and you get really good recordings, really good performances. And then you take that and you produce it into a really good tone. Yeah, we'll go ahead and record another one for now. There is kind of the thought, I could almost do one and just leave it straight up the center, but I think we're gonna go ahead and record another one for now. We'll go left and right. Whoops, let me get it where I can hear it. Here we go. played a lot smoother. So I don't think that one's going to need editing like the other one did. All right, so we got those two. Let's see what it sounds like. Again, for some reason, really loud on that track. So I'm going to drag it down again to this one, see if that's a little better. It's kind of cool. So there's one, hold on. Sorry, my mic might have dipped out a little bit. The only problem, the piano sounds a little quiet. Now the piano's in the right volume for this part. But when you take all that stuff out, the piano sounds a little quiet in comparison. So the quick fix, I'm just going to make a duplicate of the piano track. And I'm just going to make it a little louder. We'll put it here. And I don't know, let's try. See what this sounds like. Actually, you know, I might leave that piano as it was, and it might just be the guitars. I got to find a way to make those guitars a little bit quieter. Let's see here. I also had one other idea just now. Rather than playing so much the guitars, I might just play one time through. So like I'll show you real quick. I could do this. I kind of like that better. It's not quite as busy. It's like builds a little bit of anticipation, but it's not doing too much. Let me record some like that real quick. I think I'm probably going to like that better because kind of starts to build up some tension, but it's not super busy. It's like just enough to kind of create some atmosphere. Do something. Make a mono guitar. So I'm going to try this just straight up the middle. So rather than doing two left and right. kind of feel like it still might be nice to have two. And one other idea I could maybe, okay, what I could do is I could have one. Okay, I think I have a cool idea here. So we'll go left and right again, but we'll have sort of like an echo thing. So we'll have it come in on the left side first, and then sort of echo on the right side. So yeah, it would sound like this. So that might be kind of cool. So there's sort of, it's like a call and response echo kind of thing. Still might, you know, it was a cool idea, but it still might be a little too busy. I almost think the echo should be something more like. Might be different notes. You know? See what that sounds like real quick. Yeah, let's try that out real quick. And that's basically, yep, just experimenting, just seeing what we get. What that sounded like. So that's kind of cool. Definitely a little more interesting. Let's hear what that sounds like with vocals. And I think I want these drums to kind of kick in right there. I think I already have a build up. And again, it's a little... So you can control the intensity of these hits, and we want it to be kind of soft and gradually get louder. We don't want it to just be the same intensity on every single hit. That makes it sound kind of robotic. So let's try to... I'm going to grab these toms and just going to turn them down gradually. Okay. So this might be a little, you can hear a lot of booming, but I'm gradually turning each one down. And I don't even know if that's going to be enough. I might have to go back and do it a little more. Oh. Let's see what that sounds like. See if that... I think I got to be a little more extreme with it. Let's try 75. All right, let's see if that, let me do the kick as well. See if, whoops, didn't mean to go back that far. See if that works better. Yeah, hear how it kind of grows, it like gradually gets louder, so that's better. Okay, so it's coming along, and I see we got Daniel in the chat. Hey, Daniel, hope you're doing well. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Yeah, I saw Jack was commenting on a horror movie that's coming out. I didn't see the trailer, but I saw like a glimpse of the trailer, if that makes sense. You know, like an ad came on for it, but I wasn't paying attention to it. But I saw that title, Clown in a Cornfield, and it sounds like it's probably going to be what the title says. Like, I have a feeling like if that sounds like a good horror movie to you, it's probably going to deliver on what you want from that kind of movie, is my guess. But I haven't heard any reviews on it yet, but we'll see. Let's see here. Sounds very Stephen King. Could be. I know there is a Stephen King adaptation coming out. Let me see. I went and saw, like, speaking of movies, I don't know if you guys have seen anything good lately. I went to see The Accountant 2 in theaters the other day, and it was quite good. I liked the first one, and I was looking forward to the second one, and it was enjoyable. I thought it was just as good, maybe even better in some ways. What am I looking for? Oh, yeah, I wrote down, like, some movies here. But while I went to see it, there were some trailers. I think it's a movie called The Life of Chuck. I think that might be a Stephen King book. And it looked, I don't know. Trailers can be deceiving. So all I'll say is, like, it looked like, okay, they're building this up to be this, like, very powerful, epic, emotional story. I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but that's what the trailer makes it out to be. So I kind of took note of it just so I'd remember the title and sort of keep an eye out. And I'll see what reviews are saying about it. But we shall see. And yeah, Becky giving some good advice to Jack, being there for someone dealing with some loss. Daniel, it's good to see you. Are you back from Switzerland? Must be saying hi for a sec while working. I'm guessing you're back if you're taking a break from work to say hello. And I saw that you did like a little test stream the other day, and I hope you get the kinks worked out of that. I know you're having some lagging issues. I wish I could say what the deal was with that. Again, when I first started streaming, I was all, looking up all the videos, had all the knowledge, knew all the terminology and all the little details for OBS and, whatever software I was using. And then once I got it working, it was like done. Like now I set it and forget it. So I don't have a whole lot of technical terminology to help you out with, but I hope you get those kinks worked out. I'm sorry to hear that, Becky, saying I lost my mom when I was really young. Always preferred for my friends to wait for me to talk about her because it was too painful. But you know your friend better than I do. And I think that's some good advice to share. When someone's going through hurt, again, I've sort of expressed this before, you as the friend can sort of have this desire to like want to be in there and want to comfort them. And sometimes you can always ask. You can say, is there anything I can do for you? And sometimes what they need is just a little bit of space to just sort of process it on their own and then just be ready and be available when they do need you. But I'm sorry that you lost your mom, Becky. And Daniel, I hope you had a good time in Switzerland. He was saying Switzerland was amazing. I'm back in the U.S. now. I'm going to plan on going back again for sure. Wow, so good enough for a sequel. So that's good to hear. Well, definitely, if you have time to share some highlights, please do. If you don't have time, no worries. Maybe in the next stream, when you can hang out a bit longer, you can fill us in and let us know how your trip was. But I'm so glad you had a good time in Switzerland. Got to see the Matterhorn quite often. So beautiful. Awesome. I don't know if you post pictures anywhere or anything like that, or I don't know if you made if you got any footage and you're planning on making like a little, just a little vlog or documentary thing to kind of like mini documentary. I don't know if documentaries are right, but just a little montage of some of the footage you got, and if you're planning on posting that anywhere, but certainly be cool to see some of that if you captured any of that. Daniel saying, I got a new laptop today, or got a new laptop, but have some technical software that could be the issue. Just haven't had time to set it up. Awesome. Well, definitely rooting for you to get that figured out. Yeah, some love from Silas. I'm glad, at least, you don't want hurt for anyone, but hurt is something that we all experience in one way or another. And the one kind of redeeming quality of hurt is that it does give you the opportunity to sort of understand what somebody else is going through and being able to connect with them. It's a little hard when you haven't experienced something yourself, or when someone hasn't experienced something you've been through. And then when you meet that person who's like, oh, I've been through a similar thing, and they get it, and they know, they kind of understand. There's some peace in being able to make that connection. So I'm at least glad that you guys are able to just sort of comfort each other and sort of encourage each other and relate where you can, or just sort of send your thoughts and prayers when necessary. Silas saw Thunderbolts the other day. What'd you think of it? I've heard kind of mixed things. I've heard some people quite enjoyed it, and I've heard some people say it's kind of just another Marvel throwaway kind of film. But what did you think? What were your thoughts on it? Daniel saying the town Zernat is there not? Had some amazing shops. I ate at McDonald's quite a bit. Waking up to the McDonald's seemed like walking into Hogwarts. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'll have to do like a Google image and see what McDonald's in Switzerland's look like if it was like going to Hogwarts. Becky was saying, is The Accountant the movie where Ben Affleck is talking in a really un-Ben Affleck-y voice, or am I thinking of a different movie? Probably, you're probably thinking of the right one. So The Accountant, because Ben Affleck plays a character where he has autism or some form of autism, and his character very much has almost like this unnerving itch to sort of like solve problems, kind of like solve puzzles or work with numbers and sort of see how they fit, and has this sort of obsessive, like compulsive desire to complete it. And if he can't finish it, he gets frustrated about that. And he's got certain sort of tics where he has trouble connecting with people emotionally. He's a very, very logically mindseted person, and so he doesn't quite understand sort of subtext in people, when like people saying something but meaning something else, or able to read sort of human emotion or thoughts. He says things very directly, very bluntly. So you're probably thinking of the right movie. And so he's that kind of character, and he's an accountant, but he grew up with a brother, and they were raised by their father who had a military background. And because of his condition, he was sort of raised up to sort of be able to handle the harsh conditions of life, and maybe even handle them too well. You know, he was taught to sort of defend himself, and trained in weaponry and martial arts. And so he is an accountant on the surface, but he's also an accountant involved in a lot of underground activity. And, that sets up sort of the action and sort of espionage thriller parts of the movie and stuff. So, but they're good. They're fun movies. If you're a fan of action, definitely check them out. Yep. And then Jack sort of confirming, being able to extend condolences and understand. Silas went with some friends, my brother and dad, and we really liked it. Okay, yeah, like the Thunderbolts movie. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Has a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes can be kind of iffy, though. Like, I think it's a fairly good gauge, but you can kind of tell. Like, usually if the critics like something but the audience doesn't, usually it means it's probably a very artsy movie or a very like propaganda-driven movie that the critics like, but the audience didn't enjoy. If it's the other way around, if the critics don't like it, but the audience enjoys it, it's probably a fun movie that the audience really likes, and the critics either was too simple for them or they didn't like the message that the movie portrayed or whatever it might be. And then if it's pretty even, then it's probably a well-rounded movie. You know, if both people like it, that's usually a good sign. Rotten Tomatoes is okay, but it's not my favorite go-to. There's a few reviewers I watch online. My favorite reviewer is Jeremy Johns. I'll type his name in the chat in case you're wondering, but my suggestion is, like, if you want like good advice on whether a movie's worth seeing or not, try out a few different reviewers and watch their old reviews. Look up movies that you've seen before. Look up movies that you like and movies that you don't like, and look up what the reviewer has said about those movies. And if you agree with their opinion about those movies, then chances are you'll agree with their opinion on future movies. So Jeremy Johns, he's the kind of person, he just wants like a good movie to enjoy. You know, he's not too like, he'll appreciate some artsy stuff, but he mostly just wants like just a well entertaining, engaging film. Like, that's his main focus. He's more of a superhero fan than me. So that's one thing. That's a good thing to take into account too. So whenever a superhero movie comes out, I know Jeremy Johns is probably going to like it more than I'm going to. But again, that kind of helps you. It kind of helps, like, when you know the reviewer and you know their taste, then it kind of gives you a better chance of whether or not you're going to like it as well. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Jack's saying, I got so tired of hearing people say I'm sorry, even though I know they meant well. I might dig into that a little bit and just kind of ask, what is it about I'm sorry? I mean, someone might not understand, but they certainly know that you're hurting, and that's what they're sorry about. They're sorry that you're hurting. And so I'd just be curious why I'm sorry is a bit more... Maybe it doesn't have the impact, you know they mean well, but for some reason it doesn't. So I'd be curious just to kind of hear hear that. And Becky says, I hear you, Jack, so maybe you could chip in on that as well. It's hard for me to understand. I've been fortunate. I haven't had any serious losses in my life yet. I know, time, it's inevitable that someday it's going to happen. And right now I just try to remember to just be grateful for my family and appreciate them while I have them. And hopefully it's a long time before I have to deal with anything like that. So unfortunately, I don't know if unfortunate is the right word, but the reality is I can't, when someone has lost someone very close to them, I don't have that shared experience. So obviously I hate it for them. I hate that they're going through that, but I can't say that I understand. And so sometimes that's probably the hardest thing when you're on that side, is knowing somebody is hurting, but you're unable to sort of relate or sympathize. And so yeah, sometimes just wondering, like, what is the right thing to say. Oh, let's see here. And then Jack asking, it's an action film though, isn't it? Yes, it is an action film. So if you're kind of like, wait, that sounds like a lot of, character development. It is an action movie, but it's got really well-rounded characters, and it's not like nonstop action. There's a lot of, there's kind of a lot of intricacies in the story, the way it kind of interweaves and that type of thing. So it's not just a straight up non-action go adrenaline rush. It does have action in it, but there's actually it's almost more of a thriller than just a straight up action movie. And yes, even though it has action in it, where's that at? That's what I'm trying to get rid of that. Even though it has action in it, it's got a lot of story and kind of almost a little bit of a mystery element, kind of trying to solve, like put the pieces together and solve what's going on with all the people involved, how are they all related to this situation that's unfolding. Hey, Paul, good to see you. And Jack was saying, I liked the movie Immortals. Common Sense Media, if you've got kids. Not sure if you were commenting on the movie or some like movie reviews, that kind of thing. Peggy saying, I liked Morbius, but nobody else seemed to. I don't know if you liked it. Like, did you legitimately just think like, man, that was a good movie? Or did you recognize it as, this is poorly done, but it's so bad it's good? I haven't seen the movie, so I can't comment. But from what I understand, it sounds like it's one of those so bad it's good movies. So, yeah, so I'm not sure what your take on it is. But, I mean, hey, if you liked it, there's nothing wrong with liking something. If no one else likes it and for whatever reason it worked for you, like, that's great. That just means you can enjoy it. Sometimes it's kind of hard because maybe you can't, it's nice when someone else likes something you like, when you both can just appreciate a movie or whatever it might be together. But at the same time, don't let other people, tell you what to like and what not to like. If you enjoy something, if it worked for you, then great. Yeah, Jack's saying clown in a cornfield would likely be dumb, but I think it's a fun waste of time. Well, if it's fun, I don't know if you can have a fun waste of time. If you're having fun, then it's probably not a waste of time at all. If you're going to have fun and you end up not having fun, then it might be a waste of time. But if you enjoy it, like if it's just, some people like that, Me, again, I kind of like movies that are a little more inspiring. And when I say inspiring, I don't mean like the story has to be like this overcoming. No, I just mean movies that they inspire me, like, to either be creative or inspire me to work out or inspire me to just kind of motivate me in some way. It doesn't have to be an inspirational film necessarily, but I like films that are well crafted and get me feeling something, Again, I had friends who kind of like watching those like intentionally dumb movies, and there's definitely a place for that. Some people enjoy them. Even me, like, from time to time, I don't watch them regularly, but if I would enjoy those movies more with a group of friends. If I was with a group of friends and we were just putting something on and just kind of laughing at it, that'd be kind of fun. But on my own, that's probably not the kind of movie I'm going to go out of my way to see. And Daniel did go to London for a little bit. Pretty nice too, but I didn't get to spend much time there. Had an amazing cheeseburger there. That sounds good. I'm getting kind of hungry. It's about dinner time for me. Also got a cheeseburger at a small restaurant there, probably the worst burger. Wow. So simultaneously an amazing burger and then one of the worst burgers you've ever had. That's pretty rough. That's got to be disappointing because I love a good burger. And so, yeah, biting into it and just being like, that is rough. Yeah, that would kind of hurt, Yeah, Becky was just saying, I just didn't like to think about death and wanted to think about anything else. Yeah, I could see that, just not wanting to ponder it. Yeah, death's kind of a hurtful thing. It's I don't think you want to linger on it, but I think from time to time it's good to be reminded of it, just because it reminds you to make today count and to make the people in your life count, and to it's kind of a good reminder of every day you wake up is a gift, and so make the most of it. Again, you don't need to be so afraid necessarily, like constantly thinking of death. No reason in putting that stress on yourself, but from time to time it's a good reminder just to be grateful for what you have and to make the most of what you have. Daniel also got a cheeseburger in Switzerland, which was the worst one I've ever had. So did you have two bad, or were you saying the bad one that you had was in Switzerland? I don't know if you had two awful cheeseburgers, or if you meant that the one that you had that was bad, that was in Switzerland, not London. And then Jack saying, I think hearing sorry was just so repetitive. I could actually understand that. Like, again, we're kind of talking about dwelling on death. I don't think about this often, but I have thought before, like, when somebody in my family does pass that's close to me, like, how am I going to react? And my initial thought is, I feel like I'm the kind of person, like, I'm not going to want to see people. I'm just going to want to be alone, maybe with my siblings, and that's it. Like, with the rest of my close family. But I could see that kind of, I know people mean well, but it's almost more, for lack of a better word, it seems like it would almost be more annoying than helpful. Like, rather than people, it kind of just be like salt in the wound, It's like, I know you're sorry, but I need space to myself. I don't need a bunch of people telling me that. So I could kind of understand that. Again, I can't say I have experienced that, but I've sort of imagined that before. So I can understand what you mean about it being sort of repetitive, just hearing it over and over again. And it's like, sorry doesn't really change anything. It doesn't really fix anything. Becky saying genuinely liked it. It would be so fun to be able to run that fast. So, well, awesome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the film. And Jack saying, I suppose sorry was something you said when you did something wrong. Yeah, I think that's sort of a good point of view. I know when people say they're sorry for you, it's not that they did anything wrong or they're apologizing, but it's more like I'm sorry for you. But I could see that, sorry almost, as an apology, as if somehow they had something to do with it, even though they didn't. And Becky kind of confirming that that's true, Jack. I didn't always understand what people meant when they said that, when it's not their fault. Interestingly, I just learned this. Paul's commenting Memento Mori. Two things. I don't know if you're making a reference to the Flyleaf album called Memento Mori. Great album, so if you haven't heard it, check it out. Might be my favorite Flyleaf album. But I recently learned, I was kind of looking up some stuff, and Memento Mori is a Latin phrase. It has something to do... I'll look it up real quick. What does Memento Mori mean? And so maybe you're commenting that because you know it. Yeah, it's a reminder of death. Yeah, Memento Mori. So you might be commenting on what we're talking about, of just kind of the reminder of death, to remind you to appreciate today because death comes on us all. So. Gotcha. Yeah, I saw the correction, but yes, I think the correction was that the bad burger you had was in Switzerland. I gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Well, guys, it's getting a little late for me. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. I got to be honest, this didn't play out like I was hoping. Normally I'm a little more... Normally there's more going on. Like when we did this last time, recording all this, it was coming to life. And I was a little concerned about it. I was thinking that, okay, I've got more to write for this song. But I think the most exciting part is the first part. The most exciting part is when you got one idea and then you first add the drums, and you first add the bass, and you first add the guitar. That's the most exciting part. There's still more of this song that I need to write, but I don't know if it was as enjoyable to watch, because this is where it's like, okay, you've got kind of the exciting part out of the way. Now it's the puzzle solving part. Now it's coming up with other parts and making it all work. And this part might not be quite as fast paced and enjoyable to watch as other parts. But interestingly, we had a lot of nice conversation today, so hopefully you all enjoyed the conversation. I'm sorry I didn't really get to show a lot going on. Again, unfortunately, once the initial spark is the fun part, like when you're first bringing the idea to life, that's like the best part. And then after that, it kind of slows down. The excitement ends, and it's like, okay, like I said, it becomes more of a puzzle, and you're just trying to solve it. It's problem solving. How do I make this work? You try an idea. You either like it or you don't. You try another idea, you compare them, pick the one you like better, and it's kind of just rinse and repeat. So it might not be quite as exciting. But here's what we came up with for tonight. So right now we've got sort of just the piano part. This is the end of the chorus. And then this is verse 2. La da 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 da, 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 la da da. Yeah, so even as I hear that, what we came up with tonight, I'm not sure it's quite right, and that's kind of the frustrating thing. So it's one of those things that, yeah, it's when you're doing it on a live stream, there's sort of this pressure to be entertaining as well as coming up with something good. But I'm not sure how, I probably need to just spend some time with this on my own to make it right. So, it's kind of interesting, but I might even do something completely different. I'm not sure that it's working quite the way I want it to. Kind of some cool stuff, but it's not, I don't know if it's right, so I got to spend some time with it myself. But that's a lesson learned, tried some stuff out. Hopefully you all still enjoyed it, but I think we are going to put a wrap on this. Let me catch up with the chat, and then we're going to wrap up this stream here. I did enjoy the conversation with all of you, though, so hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Let's see here. Hey, we got Eddie in the chat. Eddie, appreciate you tuning in. Sorry, you're kind of coming in at the end here. But we are wrapping things up real quick. Daniel saying, sometimes you have to understand that people's intent is not exactly expressed how they really feel. So I always understand and appreciate when condolences are at least offered in any form or fashion. And I think that's a good thing to know. It's like just understanding people's intent. Maybe they don't know the right thing to say, but just remembering what they mean by it, even if they don't have the right words to say. I think that's a fair thing to understand. I can kind of see both sides. I can see why it hurts, but I think it's probably in our best interest to understand that people mean well. Part of the journey is the end. Yep. And yeah, Paul confirming, yep, remember you will die. Yep, that's memento mori. Thanks for the live stream, Quincy. My pleasure, Becky. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you still enjoyed it. Next week, we'll be back with Metal Goes Acoustic, so we'll be performing some songs next week, sort of a stripped-down version of some songs. And Eddie, I hope you're doing well. Let me know if anything fun or eventful has happened. Again, you are kind of coming in at the end here. I'm just sort of skimming through. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, Jack. Thank you. Like watching claymation being made. Yeah, maybe a little bit like that. It's like the end result is amazing, but yeah, the process itself might be a little slower. And again, it depends. Last week, it went really well. Last week, it was super exciting, like the first part of it coming together. But then, yeah, I think after the initial idea is born, then it's more of a problem-solving thing. And so it might not be as much fun watching someone try to problem solve, you know. But thank you, Becky, saying Poison will be so good. I am looking forward to this song, and hopefully the little bit you heard is kind of already tinkering like what it can be. You know, obviously this is not the finished result, but hopefully you kind of have a sense of what the song is going to be, and I'm definitely looking forward to crafting it and getting it to that point. Daniel, I hope work goes well. I appreciate you stopping by for a bit. Looking forward to hearing more about your trip to Switzerland, and I hope the rest of your work shift goes well. Can't wait to hear the whole thing. Thank you, Silas. Yeah, I enjoyed the stream. Thanks, Becky. Glad you enjoyed it. Small steps over and over. Exactly. Yep. Sure, loved it. Thank you, Silas. Let's see here. The acoustic stream was my first one. It was so good. Well, thank you. Yep. And that's basically, that's kind of the cycle. We're going to do acoustic again, and then kind of, you know, I sort of switch it up each week with those 4 different segments. So we'll be back to doing some acoustic songs next week. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out again. If you'd like to help me in bringing you guys more music, you know, if you like my songs and you'd like to support me in doing that, my biggest goal is building my audience, so there's a few ways you can help me in doing that. I just posted a link, but one is just engaging with the content that I make. I just put out a music video this Monday, so if you haven't seen the music video, definitely check it out. Leave a comment, leave a like. That stuff really helps. Again, trying to get a bit more exposure for my music so you can share my content, sharing my videos, sharing my songs, inviting people to the streams. That stuff really helps. If you want to stay in the loop, if you want to stay up to date whenever I release new music, whenever I do these live streams, be sure to sign up for my email list. Again, that same link that I posted at the bottom, you can sign up for my email list, and that just allows me to notify you directly whenever I have a new song coming out or a new video or something like that, just keeping you up to date with my projects. And lastly, if you want to help me get one step closer to my dream of doing this as a career, so that I can put more time into making more music and bringing you guys more songs, there are some ways to provide for me financially through that link. You could get yourself a piece of merch, get yourself a cool hat or a hoodie, something like that from the merch store, or leave a virtual tip from the virtual tip jar. All that really helps, and I definitely appreciate those of you who are able to support in that way. But thank you so much. Gary, unfortunately, you're tuning in right at the end, but hey, holler indeed. I appreciate you tuning in just to say hello. And sorry you're catching the end of it, but Gary, I appreciate you, and I hope the stream went well last time. Gary had a Springfest, I believe it was, Springfest stream, and I was hoping to at least stop by, and but I think that ended up being a busy day for me. I know there's going to be other festivals coming on Gary's channel, and I'm hoping to be a part of the Summerfest one. So, Gary, appreciate you tuning in for a bit. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful evening or morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Until next time. I messed that up.